All right, we are 4 Sundays away from seeing this guy on your Red Zone screen, and that's Scott Hanson. He joins us now on the Strom Sports Show. Scott, Steven Strom here. First off, congratulations on signing your multi-year deal to continue hosting the NFL Red Zone, and thank you very much for giving me some time today.
Steven, good to be with you, bud. And the countdown continues. I would say less than 4 weeks to go, because I always tweet out on Sunday, if you follow me on social media, right at 1 o'clock Eastern, right when Red Zone would be kicking off, I try and throw out a tweet or an Instagram post that says, hey, we're 8 weeks away, we're 7 weeks away, we're 4. And so this last one was 4 Sundays from today at that time. We're going to be popping the Octo Box. And I can't wait. Can't wait to get it going for real.
I can't wait too. So I guess let's do 3 Sundays. Let's make it even shorter then. Let's do 3 Sundays.
Let's go.
All right. So let me first start here, because when I think about what you do for 7 hours as a broadcaster, I'm just amazed on how easy you make it look. Because I think some people are like, oh, he just sits in front and he talks about football. It's not how it works. And I'm thinking, if you're looking to get into baseball play-by-play, you can watch a game, you can prep for the audition. But there was no Red Zone before this. So I guess my question to you was, how did you prepare for your audition back in 2009 or whenever you ended up doing it?
Yeah, well, the audition's actually a funny story, because I was working for NFL Media prior to becoming the NFL Red Zone host. But I was a roving reporter. So they would send me out to whatever game was the hot game of the week or whatever, and I would, go to the game, do pregame reports on the field, postgame interviews in the locker room. And then during the game, I'd be up in the press box with all the other reporters and watching the game. So if it was whatever, it was Patriots Jets from Foxborough, right? During the game, I'd be up in the press box and I'd be watching the game in front of us, but I'd have my laptop open and I'd be the guy in the press box that would be elbowing the guy or the gal next to me going, yeah, we're watching Tom Brady against, Mark Sanchez and the Jets. But Adrian Peterson's got 100 yards rushing at the half, for the Vikings.
Right.
Oh, Tony Romo just hit Des Bryant, or back then it would have been Terrell Owens for his second touchdown of the day or whatever. Sure. I'd be watching all the other games. So I've always been fascinated with like the 10,000-foot view of the NFL, the comprehensive, overarching way to look at what, for my money, is the greatest competition on the planet, NFL football. Okay, so that was my background. So then when I heard in the summer of 2009, just through the office scuttlebutt, that, hey, they're going to start this channel, NFL Red Zone, it's going to be every touchdown from every game, no commercials, all throughout the day, all the best parts of the game.
Sure.
I called up the talent coordinator at the time and I said, is it true you guys are starting this? And he goes, yeah. I said, who you got to host it? And he goes, well, we're looking at a few different people. I said, is my name on the list? He goes, yeah, your name's on the list. And I told him I wanted it, because I really felt like it could be an amazing thing. And I felt like my skill set could pair well with the demands of the job. Long story short, the audition. So usually when you do a TV audition, it lasts for 15 minutes or so. If you're going to be the weekend sports anchor in, Charlotte, North Carolina at the NBC affiliate, they'll interview you, in an office, but then they'll put you up on set and you might talk for 15 minutes on camera. They want to see how you look, how you sound.
God, how long was this?
With the weather people or the news people and whatnot. Okay. But NFL Red Zone, because stamina is part of the name of the game.
Right.
The NFL Red Zone audition was 5 hours long. What they did was it was in the middle of the summer, it's like June. And what they did was they took a random week from the season before and queued up 8 different games to the kickoff. And then they hit play on 8 different machines simultaneously, put them up on a big screen and said, talk.
And said, go. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, the audition was kind of crazy. I was trying to hang with it. Now, I know football pretty well, but I don't know everything about football.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to hang with it and bounce around and be enthusiastic and energetic and informative and entertaining, all the things that I wanted to be if I was named the host. But I was like sweating. I was flop sweating through the suit that I was wearing. And I remember at the end of the audition, I was fried. I was like, I don't know if I just nailed it and I'm going to be the host, or if I just ruined my career and they're going to go like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, what he's talking about, whatever.
Goodness.
But a few weeks later, the executive producer at NFL Network called me up and said, "Hey, Scott, good news. We want to offer you the hosting role of NFL RedZone." I was like, "Oh, awesome. That's fantastic." And I said, his name's Eric. I said, "Eric, so you watched the 5-hour audition?" And he goes, "Scott, I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and I knew you were my guy." And I remember responding, I was like, "Oh, wow, that's great. Thanks. That's a great compliment." And I remember thinking in my head, why in the did you have me do 5 hours, ruin a suit, think that I was damaging my career and making a fool out of myself? But all's well that ends well.
It all works out.
12 years later, going on 13 seasons.
Unbelievable. Because I'm asking myself, you got to have a mix of almost everything. You got to have the personality because you're on screen for 7 hours. You got to entertain, but you also have to have a mix of like play-by-play. And I'm sure you went to Syracuse, so I'm sure you were around. I know you played football there, but you sort of had an idea. It's all these mixes of skills. It is such a challenging, and you make it look easy. And I can't, you can't imagine anyone else doing that, for that position. So you've done an incredible job. My question, I guess,
thank you.
The hardest part for me as a Viking fan, I mean, I would sit there, Scott, and I would be like, all right, it's 4:00. Vikings are playing the Chargers. It's the first quarter in San Francisco. Vikings got it at their own 24-yard line. I tell my producer, "Hey, let's go to this one." And, as the Lions and Raiders are tied 34-34 with a minute to go. Do you have a team? And if so, are you sort of peaking at times as the games get later and later to the team that maybe you were cheering for, or your growing up team that you cheered for?
Yeah. So I get asked that question a lot because I think some fans that watch all 7 hours every week of NFL RedZone, they think they can tell who my favorite NFL team is based on if I give a little extra pizzazz into a highlight, or if, everyone thinks I'm not paying enough attention to their favorite team, which is totally not true. But the reality is I do not have a favorite NFL team. I don't.
Wow.
My favorite team is my fantasy football team. And occasionally I will put a little extra on one of the highlights if one of my guys scores a touchdown, but it does not interfere at all with me or us on the NFL RedZone staff popcorning around to be like, bang, we're in Dallas. Now we're in Atlanta. Now let's go to Minneapolis. Now let's go down to Miami. Yeah. It doesn't interfere with us at all. Nor will it. Did
you have a player? Do you have an all-time favorite player though?
Well, okay. So I grew up kind of in the NFC North, in that belt. I grew up in suburban Detroit.
Oh,
I grew up a Lions fan. Oh. I grew up about, remember back in the day, they used to play in the Pontiac Silverdome. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ford Field's been around for a while now, but back in the day, they played in the Pontiac Silverdome. I grew up about 15, 20 minutes from the Silverdome, and my dad got our family season tickets. And so I grew up having many Thanksgivings spoiled or made by the Detroit Lions winning or losing on the first game of the Thanksgiving, classics that they would do with the Lions at home and then the Cowboys at home. And of course, now there's a third game. But long story short, I grew up with Billy Sims back in the day, number 20 for the Lions, who would have been one of the great running backs in NFL history if he didn't have terrible, terrible knee injuries. And back then, the reconstructive surgery wasn't even really a thing. But then a handful of years later, they draft a kid out of Oklahoma State, Barry Sanders. And I grew up, I remember watching Barry Sanders in his rookie season. I was in high school at the time, and watching Barry Sanders in his rookie season and being like,
gotta be amazed.
This dude is different. This dude is different. So, but that being said, today, the Detroit Lions, I haven't lived in the Metro Detroit area for a couple of decades, and working for the NFL, the Lions have become one of 32 teams.
Right.
Now I'll say this. Last thing I'll say about it is this. If the Lions ever break through and win the Super Bowl, I will be thrilled, but it will be more for my high school buddies who still live and die with the Detroit Lions, right? It won't be
Fair
like,
enough.
oh, my team won the Super Bowl. No, not at all. Like I'll be thrilled for the guys who earn it, the coaching staff and the players of the Lions that finally got over that hurdle, and it seems like it's a considerable hurdle. But it'll be more for my high school buddies who still all the time live and die with the Lions. But no, I would challenge anyone that watches NFL RedZone to really find any inequality in our coverage, because I won't let it happen.
No,
and our producers won't let it happen. We want to play it down the middle and say wherever the best football is at any given second is where we're going to turn your attention to. So,
100%. 100%. Scott Hansen is the host of the NFL Red Zone channel, and you can follow him on Twitter at Scott Hansen. What question do you get more in these interviews? Have you ever had to pee during Red Zone, or if you're related to Chris Hansen, even though he spells his last name entirely different?
Yeah, those are two fascinating questions that I get that everybody thinks they're the first person to ask. Everybody thinks like, oh, hey, Chris Hansen, and
he's got the journalism question there. Yeah, no, you've heard that 100 times.
Well, he's Hansen. I'm Hanson. And I've heard from him. I don't know him personally, but kind of just through, being two Hansons in the public eye.
Sure.
That he gets Scott Hansen all the time, or pretty frequently. So that's one that one hits, but there is nothing compares to the amount of times I get the bathroom question.
The iron bladder.
It has to be a million. If I ever counted it, it has to be a million times I have been asked on social media, in an airport somewhere, bumping into someone at the grocery store or whatever. Everybody wants to know, how do you take a pee on Sundays during 7 hours and no commercials? And I always respond, it's not the how, it's the when. And the answer is no, I do not. I don't take a break. I don't take a break. I'm taking one bathroom break in the last like 8 years. And that was a whole separate side story where I was kind of playing hurt that day. But no, I dehydrate myself, and then it's mind over matter for 7 hours. I want to focus on the football, not my own biological needs. So ladies and gentlemen, I am sacrificing for you on Sundays.
More like mind over bladder. I think that's also, you could also say that as well.
Nice.
It's a little cringe.
Steal that from you, Steve. Very good.
Just a little cringe. I don't want to cringe everyone out, but all right, we got a couple more left. You've been fantastic with me. Again, you went to Syracuse, so the broadcasting, I'm friends with, Noah Eagle. He went to Syracuse. Sure. This broadcasting is there and alive. If you had to pick one broadcaster to help you on Sunday, if you had to bring any broadcaster, you can from the present to the past, to come on and be like, come host 7 hours with me. You can pee. That's fine. You could take breaks. But what broadcaster would you bring on with you to do it with you? Oh,
you're killing me with this question. I've never been asked this question before.
Let's go.
And it's a tough one. It's like trying to pick, because I'm a Syracuse grad, a proud alum of the Newhouse School at Syracuse University, which has put out all the fantastic sportscasters. For those who don't know, Bob Costas, Dick Stockton, Marv Albert, Mike Tirico, Len Berman, Marty Glickman back in the day, Ian Eagle and Noah, his son. And there's so many.
Okay, you don't have to do one. You could do a couple.
I'll pick one of two here. One of two. One of my favorite current broadcasters these days, and he's a Syracuse grad, and I've gotten to know him a bit, is Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico is fantastic.
Amazing.
He's prepared. He's smooth. He's fun without making it about himself. He hits the high notes, as I like to say, like when the event calls for that energy and that tension in his voice. He's got that. I can't wait till he's a regular again on a broadcast. He was obviously the voice of Monday Night Football for a few years, but now he's over at NBC. Al Michaels, currently has that position. He occasionally fills in when he's doing it, but I can't wait to see him as a regular on an NFL broadcast again. And then maybe more personally, there's a guy that some audience members might know, some others might not, a guy by the name of Dave Pasch. He was my contemporary at Syracuse, and he and I in our graduating class were kind of considered two of the guys that really made it. Dave Pasch is the voice of the Arizona Cardinals on their radio broadcasts, and then you'll see him do excellent play-by-play work for college football, college basketball, NBA basketball on ESPN. He is a jack of all trades. If it can be played, he can broadcast it. Dave Pasch it'd be great to have my old buddy in a studio with me doing 7 hours of commercial-free football.
Very good. Very good. And remember, folks, starting Monday, August 23rd and continuing through September 8th, the NFL Red Zone channel re-airs each week of the 2020 regular season, a day leading up to the start of the 2021 season.
That's right.
And let's do two quick ones. Again, I asked for 8 to 10. You've given me much more, so I'm very grateful for that. Quick thought on the Minnesota Vikings. Be careful. This is a Minnesota-based podcast. We're very much looking forward to this year. We've revamped the defense. What do you got for us, Scott?
I have really good news for all the Viking fans out there. No, and I'm not predicting a Super Bowl. I will just tell you this. I'm talking to you from Los Angeles, California, my condo here in LA. By the way, if you want to see how the Red Zone guy lives, I got 5 screens over there going always in my house. I got 5 big screens. Now I got NFL Network on one of them. There's, I put a couple news programs on, I'll put other stuff, but so I try and watch everything even when I'm not on the clock. But
amazing.
I'm talking to you from Los Angeles, California. My best friend here in Los Angeles is a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan.
Good
so
man.
I hear it, and he and I co-own a fantasy football team. Okay. So I hear it all the time about the Vikings, right? Now he's a realist, and he doesn't just, hold pom-poms up and be like, like that. He thinks that this could be a championship season, whether that means division, conference, or the whole enchilada remains to be seen. But wasn't it Anthony Barr who said in during OTAs or something, this is a Super Bowl roster he felt, right? Yeah. I think it was Anthony Barr. Look, I like Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback, but you can win, and you can win big with Kirk Cousins. I'm convinced of that, right? Okay, Dalvin Cook, one of the best in the game at his position. Thielen, Jefferson, find me a better duo. There, some people might argue a couple of different guys, but find me a better duo, especially if Jefferson takes the second year leap, right?
Yep.
Offensive line needs to stay together and needs to stay healthy, but that's true of every single team. Mm-hmm. Zim, can he coach you to a championship? He's been around. This guy has been through every battle you could possibly be through. I think the coaching staff is fine. Now the defense, can you hold people under 28 points a game? Can you hold them under 21 points a game, right? Mm-hmm. That'll determine how far you guys can go. And did the Packers fall off a little bit as well? I think the NFC North is absolutely in play for the Minnesota Vikings. Absolutely. And if you win the North with the quality of football that we expect to be played there, I think, Detroit could be improved. Chicago should take another step. If you come out of there, why not? Why not win a couple of playoff games? If I would have told you at this point last year, you know what? I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love the Buccaneers to make a run in the playoffs. Even with Brady there, you'd still be like, okay. So why not the Vikings? I would absolutely think they could be a playoff team. I think they should be a playoff team.
I think they should too.
If it's a non-playoff year, that's a disappointment. If it's a one and done playoff year, that's a disappointment. But I don't see why they couldn't take a step and be a major player in the NFC.
7 wins last year. Huge factor, and every team had to deal with it, but especially for the Vikes, they feed off that crowd. They're going to get that back this year.
Yes.
Irv Smith, I think, is the sleeper for that team offensively. I think he's in for a big year. I would agree on that. As a Viking realist, I like to call myself that. This needs to be a playoff year, and I do believe they've revamped that defense. They've plugged some holes. I don't know if it's necessarily perfect, but they do get Daniil Hunter back and Michael Pierce, who opted out last year. So they are going to get that defense. It's going to look a lot better than last year. So that's where we're at, I think, with the Vikes. I think we agree on that. The last thing I want to get into, I wanted to end with this. I'm 23 years old, and I'm trying to navigate the waters and find the right path to my goal as a broadcaster. And I know you are a fellow Christian as well. So how has your faith shaped your life and I guess has helped you get to where you are at today? Because this is a tough industry.
Yeah, wow, that's a big question. First of all, I would just encourage you on your path of broadcasting, but your path of life more than anything, right? I love football. You won't find someone that gets more fired up about an NFL Sunday than your boy, right? But it's not my entire life. Gosh, how can I put it into a smaller term? Look, the reality is, and I realize there's people probably in the entire faith spectrum and even outside of faith that are watching this right now. But the reality is, for me, I was on a path to find out meaning and purpose in life. And I had a time in my life when Jesus Christ, the real Jesus Christ, changed my life, and continues to this day. And maybe I would put it in a term that you might be able to understand. One of my favorite non-biblical authors is C.S. Lewis. I love the Bible, of course, but one of my favorite non-biblical authors is C.S. Lewis. And he said this about Christianity. He says, I believe in Christianity the same way I believe the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but by it, I see everything else. And my Christian faith informs every aspect of my life, even my football broadcasting career. I believe in being a Christian and being a representative and being someone who gets to share the gospel, the good news with other people. Part of that is being excellent at what I do in the secular world. And then people might look and say, oh, wow, you know what? That Scott Hansen guy, the touchdown guy from Sundays. Yeah, he seems kind of cool. Oh, he's a Jesus guy? Okay, maybe some people are interested in that. Maybe some people aren't. I don't believe in forcing it on everyone. God doesn't force faith in him on everyone. And yet I want to be prepared to give a reasonable answer for the hope that is inside of me when and if someone should ask. So that's where I come from with faith. If I would give a recommendation for you and your career, look at. First of all, you're in a capacity, and this is a sports show. It's a football show, right? So you want to serve the audience that comes to you. But there is no reason why, even in today's politically correct world where some people hear the term, oh, you're a Christian, oh, you believe in the Bible, or oh, something like this, you're canceled, or this means you think this, or this is who you are. I want to put you into a box. You ultimately need to determine what is most important in your life. What is the foundation of your life? Or maybe more accurately, what is the center of your life? Maybe more accurately than that, who is the center of your life? If it's the broadcasting career, well, then you should serve that and see how far that takes you. I did that, Stephen. I did that in my life. My broadcasting career, before coming to know the Lord, my broadcasting career was my God. It was what was going to bring me peace, fulfillment, joy, fame, money, all these things that I thought that I wanted at that time. And when I came to know God, I said, I recognized that I need to decide, is my career at the throne of my life? Is it the center of my life? Right. Is Scott the center of Scott's life? Or do I dare, do I risk? At the time, it felt like, oh, it's a risk or whatever. Say, the God of the universe, the God who created me and everything that we see, and who says, I am a personal God. I can come into your life and I can change your life and give your life new perspective and new meaning. Do I dare put him at the center of my life? And I did that years ago and try and continue to, and still I fall short. I fall short all the time, but that's one more reason why I love Jesus, because he says, bring me all of your flaws, bring everything like that, and I can make it right. I will make it right. And I get as fired up talking about God and spirituality as I do talking about the NFC West. You know?
Yeah. That was really, truly, thank you for sharing that. Seriously.
Sure,
thank you very much.
I hope it helps you, or I hope it helps someone out there, truly.
It will. I mean, it certainly will. I do. And it's such a touchy subject, but I did want to sort of piggyback on what you were saying, and just, you're right. Like, it does get sort of a bad rep, and we're not trying to come off as perfect. Like, we're not, that's just like you said, like, that's just, it's just
Christianity is a sinner's religion. It is not a self-righteous religion. Now, there are people who call themselves Christians who I think get it twisted, but they might want to get their nose in the Bible a little bit more and see, wait a minute, what is the theology really about? Jesus came for the lost, the broken, the sinners. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm first in that line of those categories right there. And if anyone else out there is, Jesus is for you, or someone that you should at least examine to say, this life that, even if I don't believe in him, you can't acknowledge, you can't disagree with, that he changed the world. This idea changed the world. And like I said, we could talk about it all the rest of the time. Maybe we'll save it for another podcast appearance.
For sure.
How about that?
For sure. Scott, I really appreciate it again. Listen, I'm just going to end on this. We talked about whatever football. That was the most meaningful question and answer that I got from this. So thank you very much, and keep up the great work. Congratulations on the new deal. And I'm very excited to see you on my screen in a couple of weeks here.
Stephen, good. If I got any inside Vikings questions that my buddy out here in LA can't answer, your phone might ring.
I hope I'm the guy.